This video is brought to you by Sporlan. Quality, integrity, and tradition. All right, I was at this location the other day working on a bar region and just kind of walking around, looking at the big picture. I heard a funny noise coming from this exhaust fan. So I opened it up. I had just put new bearings on this last year. There's no problem there, but the sound seemed to be coming from the motor. So I went ahead and looked into the motor, and it sounded like the bearings were going bad in it. So I went ahead and tried to grease up the motor. The sound went away for a minute, but then it came back again. To me, it kind of sounds like a dry bearing. So what we're actually going to do is go ahead and replace this motor preemptively before it becomes a problem. I already talked to the customer. So we're going to get this opened up. Because it's running, I'm going to do a baseline current draw, check the pulley, and then we're going to go ahead and replace everything. So baseline, we're running about 9.5, 9.6, somewhere in there. Our allowed current draw is 10.2 amps at a maximum 10.3. We're running 208 single phase. So that's good. I just wanted to kind of get an idea where we're at, and we're going to get on replacing this thing. I want to point something out. This is out in the desert heat. We're out in La Quinta, California, and it gets extremely hot in the summertime to the point that everything is brittle. And you got to be careful. The wires are brittle. The electrical tape is all corroded. I mean, it's just flaking off like that. You got to be careful. The reason why I'm pointing this out like this, that's exposed wire right there. Just from bending the line. So you got to be careful, because when it's live, you could have, sticking your hands in this electrical compartment can be a problem. So you got to be very careful. All right, first off, I set the motor in there and I noticed a couple things. It wasn't really lining up straight. So I started measuring a few things, and I found that someone has been tightening the belt by just moving one motor bracket bolt instead of both. So it was a 1/2 inch higher on this side, 1/2 inch lower on this side. So I leveled it out to where this measurement right here is exactly 3.5 inches, exactly 3.5 inches. That gave me a level playing field. And then I'm trying to line up the pulley, and I get it, I haven't checked it with a straight edge yet, but I get it eyeballed and all looks well, and I go to snug it on so I can put the straight edge on there. And just because you want to be careful about this, I pulled the set screw out, and I noticed that the set screw is not making contact with the key. It's only hitting the shaft right there. I know that's probably hard to see back in there, but so there's a problem here. This motor needs to go this way, therefore, so that way the set screw can hit the key. So I got to see if I can get adjustment out of it. I hate to do this. If not, we'll have to flip this pulley around, but we'll see. But you got to watch this kind of stuff, because you don't want it setting on the shaft if you don't have to. Well, I hate to do this, but I had to flip the pulley around, which sucks because it makes it difficult to adjust. So in order to adjust it, but anyways, it's life. There's not enough, in order to pushing it back to where the keyway would safely push on the set screw would safely push on the key, makes me have to go back this far, and the bolts don't line up, and I don't want to have to drill holes. So we're just going to flip it around and we'll line it up that way. All right, I'm pulling wire right now, new wire through here. It's just single phase. The old one, if we look at it right here towards the end, it was like, this is all broken, and so you got to watch for that. Look at the heat. It's been just like deteriorating it. So anyways, the incoming wire is good, no problems with that. So just working along. I like to tape up my my switches and receptacles whenever I'm done. That way they don't short out against the side of the box that it's usually going into. So we're just going to wire in the motor now. All right, we're going to power it up and check rotation. Rotation should be clockwise. So let's see what happens here. Hopefully it doesn't blow up in my face. Nice and quiet. We're running 8.5 amps. It's whisper quiet too. I love it. We might speed it up a little bit because we don't want to slow the fan down any. I didn't have my tachometer. Normally I would have checked it with a tachometer, but everything's the same, so we should be able to get about the same rotation out by adjusting to current draw. We're gonna let it run for a few minutes and also check voltage, but yeah, looking very good. All right, so here's where the problem of having the pulley on there incorrectly comes in. There's a big key, and that key won't come out. There's not enough room, so I have to remove the entire pulley to open it up. Now, I want to say something else too. The old motor was running damn near close to the FLA, you know, the recommended current draw of the motor, okay? Or the maximum current draw, whatever you want to say. But this motor is almost identical. Yes, it's a different brand, but the current draw, you know, the FLA is pretty much the same. It's the same horsepower, it's the same RPM, okay? The pulley or sheave, I adjusted pretty much to the same setting. So I am gonna speed it up just a little bit, but I'm not gonna take it up too fast, okay? And here's my logic with this. You can change the air balance of the building. You don't wanna mess with that stuff. In a perfect world, I should have put a tachometer on here and measured the speed of the driven, you know, shaft, but I didn't have one, so life happens. But it's very possible that the bearings going out in the old motor was causing it to run high amps. So with that being said, I don't want to just max the amps out on this one, because you got to be a little bit careful. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust it one turn, speed it up, but that's it. We're going to leave it with that and see how the customer likes it. If they have any issues, we can speed it up faster, but I don't really want to mess with the airflow too much on this. All right, to align these guys, what I do is I eyeball it really well, okay? And then when I'm all said and done, I've got a straight edge. And all you're going to do is put the straight edge on the sheave down there, and you want it to line up straight on here too. And we're good. Our straight edge is good. I know the camera doesn't pick that up really well, but it's nice and aligned. Tension is correct. We're going to tighten everything up and then start it up and check current draw again. Everything's nice and quiet. I went ahead and greased these bearings too real quick, just because they were installed last year and it's probably about time, especially with the heat out here. Current draw is good. We're not running over FLA. FLA on this is 10.5 for 208 single phase. So we're good. We're going to leave it at that. We're going to let it run, and I'm going to start assembling everything. All right, we're at our exhaust hood right now, and my hood for that particular fan is right here. Everything's running good. I'm going to tell the customer to keep an eye on it.
All right, so this was, like I said in the video, I was there for a bar reach-in, and just looking at the big picture, I walked the roof and heard a funny noise coming from the exhaust fan. Then what I did was I went ahead and went downstairs, grabbed the customer, asked them if they were interested in coming on the roof with me, and then took them up and showed them that exhaust fan. Once they came on the roof, I explained to them the potential problems that could happen if that motor was to fail and why we need to change it before it fails to eliminate an emergency call. Now, it was a Friday evening, and I had confidence that I could make it through the weekend, so I actually came back out, I think Tuesday of the next week, and went ahead and replaced the motor, and everything was, you know, fine after that. But I can't stress enough that this is why I'm not a fan of people wearing headphones when they're working, because it's something like this. While I was working on the bar reach-ins and I was just walking around, I could hear that noise across the roof, and I knew something wasn't right. I used my instincts, I listened to my senses, you know, and when I do a preventative maintenance or I'm doing any other work, you get used to the sounds that you hear on each particular roof. And when you hear something different, you should stop and think twice about it, okay? You know, always trying to take care of the customer's best interest, because it benefits you at the same time, right? Because I got to get a sale out of it. I got to sell a motor without trying to rip them off, without creating a problem, you know, and they were happy because now we eliminated a problem potentially from shutting that restaurant down. That particular restaurant cannot operate without that fan, so they literally have to shut the doors. If that went down on a Saturday night, they're shutting the doors on a Saturday night. So it's that kind of stuff that I really try to stress, you know, to make sure that we're taking care of the customer to the best of our ability, okay? I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. Keep in mind, I do live streams Monday evenings at 5 p.m. Pacific time, work permitting, on YouTube. And also a new YouTube channel, HVACR Tools. I actually just uploaded the first video to that one, and there'll be more to come. So please do me a favor. There'll be a link in the show notes of this video. Go subscribe to my new tools channel, okay? Really appreciate it, and we will catch you guys on the next one.